Everybody, Mitch Pileggi!
Now, did that sizzle or what? Is that what, I never knew that's what they called them.
Yeah, they call them sizzle reels. Little fancy showing you off.
Sizzle,
Do you feel like you're sizzling?
I feel like a sizzle coming on.
Well, you've been in a lot of hot projects. We have a lot to talk about with you.
I've been very fortunate. I've been very, very fortunate in my career, and let's talk about it.
Yeah, so we're obviously on the Supernatural vibe. Anybody else Supernatural fans?
Gotta go plaid.
Exactly. The look
Flannel.
lives, man. So with Supernatural, Jared and Jensen and Misha are very well known for their pranks on set. Did they ever get you?
You know, they really did not go there because I think they were terrified of what was going to happen if they did. And they were actually, because I had heard all that, and but they were very well behaved. I'll tell you one thing that did happen. There were many things that happened, but my wife and daughter were up visiting, and they were on the set the day that I was working doing an episode, and at the end of the day, well, no, we were shooting a scene, and I'd got some stuff on my shirt, so I'd take my shirt off and change it, and my wife's standing there, and she goes, "Oh, you look good. She goes, "Let's get Jared over here and have him take his shirt off and see how good you look." And then we finished the day. And we were in the van getting ready to go home, back to the hotel. And Jared comes walking off the set. He's got a T-shirt on. He sees my wife and daughter in the car. He looks at him and he just takes the shirt and he goes. And I was like, I hate you. I just hate you.
That seems like a very Jared thing to do.
Very Jared. And he just had the biggest grin on his face. Just a big old goofball.
And we love them for their goofball side,
Oh,
which
yeah,
comes
they're
through
the
in the
best.
iconic blooper reels from Supernatural.
Oh,
Do you have
indeed.
any favorite bloopers, whether you were in it or ones that you've seen?
In Supernatural?
Yeah.
God, I don't know if there were. There's this. We did one scene. There was a scene they were shooting, and I'm old, and it's like I don't run so good anymore. So and there's a lot of running on that show, and they both run really fast. But I was doing a scene where I had to run away from them, and they started chasing me, and we were in a locker room or something like that. And to this day, Jensen still makes fun of me doing this. He'll like if we're around a group of people, he'll like go, "Let me show you Mitch. Let me show you what Mitch does on." But I was running away from him, and I had to turn around a corner, and I like stopped, and I did this, and then I turned and ran, and they just were dying. They were laughing so hard. They go, "What was that?" And I said, "Well, I can't. My legs don't work the way your legs work." So anyway, it was. They still to this day humiliate me with that.
So they have you out for the SPN conventions quite a bit. You have done some singing as part of those. What's your favorite song to sing for a crowd?
Well, I got to sing Jailhouse Rock over in Hawaii at the hotel that Elvis used to stay at, and I love Elvis music, but it was, of course, that band is great. The band that's with that's at those things is amazing. So we worked on it a little bit, and then we played and had a ball. But that was probably my favorite. It was my favorite.
You sounded fantastic in that clip. I saw the clip of that performance.
No, thank you.
It was so good. There's also one where you were playing a guitar on stage.
Yeah, I mean, it was like sometimes when you're doing these things and things get a little slow, sometimes I'd make sure there was a guitar on the stage with me, and I said, "Well, if you guys are going to ask me questions, I'm gonna start playing the guitar and singing, so I'll punish you for it." So I would sing. I'd sing every once in a while. I started out my career doing musicals in high school and then on stage doing community theater and stuff like that. So I played Pontius Pilate and Jesus Christ Superstar, and that was so much fun. And so I love to sing.
Is there a musical that you would want to be a part of now?
I'd love to play Pilate again. I'd love to play Tevye in Fiddler on the Roof. And I got to sing on Walker when I did Walker, and I played Jared had this really cool guitar. It's just a beautiful guitar, and he said, you know, I want you to play my guitar when you do this. And so I did. I used his guitar and did the song, and then it's got such an amazing sound. It's like there were like 100 of them made, and it's a really very unique instrument. And but I kept saying after I got done, I said, man, I love this guitar. It's just got this perfect sound, and just the feel of it. It plays well, and so it was. We were having a birthday dinner for me at this restaurant, and Jared and Jen pull up. Jared gets out of the truck, and he's got a guitar in his hand, guitar case, you know, in his hand. And I was like, I looked at him, I said, you better be planning on singing "Happy Birthday" to me, and not because you're not giving me that guitar. And he goes, this is your guitar, and he said, and it's a very expensive guitar, and. He said, when I saw you play that, he goes, I knew that it belonged to you. And I said, but Jared, this is I have to tell you something about Jared Pileggi. He is one of the most generous people that you are ever going to meet in your life. He will give you anything. And he's given me a lot. But I said, I can't accept it. And he goes, well, you have to. And Jen is like looking at me. Take the goddamn guitar. You're not refusing this guitar. And so anyway, he said, okay, I'll make a deal with you. He goes, whoever survives the other one, he goes, if I happen to survive you, the guitar can come back to me. Then so we made that agreement, and I told my wife and daughter, I said, when I'm gone, this goes back to Jared. And so anyway, that's the deal we have with the guitar.
That's so precious.
Yeah.
Because you often hear a lot about Supernatural being a family and like the fandom is a family. What has that meant to you to be part of a group that is so devoted to the show and the actors that they've really embraced each other?
Well, I mean, it's great to be around for one thing, but Jared brought that sensibility onto Walker, and it just permeated the show, the whole cast, the crew, the writers, the producers. He was number one on the call sheet, and from number one down, he's the best number one I've ever been around in my life, because he made it a true family situation, and it was glorious. It's the best show I've ever worked on. The crew loved each other. The crew loved the cast. The cast loved the crew. It was a love fest, and it sounds silly maybe, but it was really glorious, and you don't get that in this business. Believe me, you don't get a situation like that. So man, so when the show ended, it was heartbreaking, unexpected, because we were the number one show on the network, and they just decided to, I guess, do away with scripted programming on CW. So, you know, I'm not going to get into that. I'll stop here with that.
I mean, valid. Had Walker continued, what would you have wanted to see from Bonham?
Oh man, I'm not a writer, and they were taking him in a lot of. I mean, it's like there was a great love story with Bonham and Abilene, and you don't see that. You don't see that on television. Two seniors, people of our age, being able to play out a love story, like that. And I mean, they even got us being a little kinky, and it was, so it was. I mean, I love that aspect of the show, and the fact that they brought so much family into the show, because the original Walker, I was on the original. I did an episode of the original Walker, and it was a very, very different show, and I loved what Anna Fricke and Jared brought to what we were doing, and I moved down to Austin, and I'm still there. So I think I'm pretty much done acting unless Jared brings another show into Austin.
Well, there's talk of a Supernatural reboot in the works.
Nah, it's,
If that were to
Samuel's,
happen.
Samuel's. No, I don't want to play Samuel again.
You're breaking all of our hearts right at the
No,
just
Samuel was not a very loved character, so as believe me, I've heard. I mean, to work with those folks was great, but I don't think I'd like to play that character again.
With Jared and Misha joining Jensen on The Boys, would you want to play in that universe with Kripke again?
No, it's too many. That's too many. There's too many folks. See, sometimes it takes you out of it when you think, okay, those are the Supernatural guys. It's like, I don't. It's. I hope they have a good time.
How does Jared, the actor, compare with Jared, the EP?
When we first started doing Walker, he came to me and he said, "No, we're pretty rough with each other. It's like we don't hold back, and we're pretty, it's like we're pretty brutal with each other, and it's like we make fun of each other and just and take each other down." And he said, "Listen, I want you to on set, I want you to treat me just the way you treat me." He said, "Don't do anything different because I'm the executive producer on the show. Because I want the rest of the cast to see that I am another cast member and I'm not an executive producer. And I'm just like they are. I'm the same guy that I'm part of the family. And I'm not. I don't want them looking at me as an executive producer. I want them looking at me as another actor that they're working with." So I was pretty brutal with him in front of the cast. And I said, "Jared, you tell me when to stop." And he says, "You could never go too far." And they loved it. They loved it, and they immediately embraced him and saw that he was who he is. And it just made everything so much more comfortable. And going to work, I loved going to work on that show. And I haven't always been that way on things that I've worked on. But it was like, man, when I was working, it was like I can't wait to get there. Plus, I had horses to ride, and I got to be a rancher, and I got to be a cowboy. It was fun.
I definitely wanted to ask about the horses because you always hear that don't work with children and animals. Did you have any interesting stories or run-ins with the horses?
No, not my horse. My horse did everything I wanted it to, and it behaved itself and took good care of me, and I took care of it. And there were some other characters on the show had never done it, had never ridden much, and it was a hoot to watch them do it because they were terrified. I mean, almost to the point of crying. Grown men, and these are some pretty tough guys. But they were. It's. I mean, because being on a horse gets away is a pretty scary experience. Yeah.
Who was the worst on a horse?
I'm not going to say that.
I mean, it's just between you and me. There's nobody else watching.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Okay, fine. I tried to get the tea, guys. But you mentioned
Jared's a good horseman, though,
that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you were on the original Walker, and Supernatural was described initially as X-Files meets Route 66. So what is it like for you to have these crossovers with past projects and coming back to that?
Well, I mean, in Dallas too. I was in the original Dallas, and then I did the reincarnate when they brought it back. Well, I mean, I feel incredibly fortunate to be able to have that available to me to cross over and do other shows, but it's I don't know if I'm answering that question or what I'm at this point what I'm saying about that.
It's just really cool to get to see someone get to have that longevity, that their show comes back around in a different form, and that you still get to be a part of that world.
You're talking about how old I am.
No, not exactly.
Just go ahead and say it, dude. You're old.
I'm just hanging out with a lot of.
I mean, the
older
original
guys.
Dallas to the. It was like, yeah, that was. I've been in this business for over 40 years, and I tell you, that's a long time for an actor to be. So I feel blessed and so fortunate to have had this ride, and to be able to do shows like do Dallas and then But like with Supernatural, the crew on Supernatural was basically our Vancouver crew on the X-Files. So and Kim Manners was one of our main producer directors on the X-Files, and then he ran Supernatural. So it was always great to be able to work with those wonderful people again, and I really like that.
That's always so special to hear the bond between the cast and the crew, and because sometimes you don't always get to hear that the cast and crew got along.
No, believe me, that's not always the case.
And how, especially with Supernatural, that was everybody talked about, like the crew and the cast got along.
It was a
so
great
well.
crew. Yeah, Supernatural crew is a great crew, and it was the X-Files crew. It's the same, like I say, a lot of the same people, but it was a great group of folks, and it was very familial. We just loved each other, and got along, and that makes such a big difference on a show when everybody gets along. Because if you got a knucklehead who doesn't, wants to kind of throw a wrench in all that, it can be just awful.
See, you said you were old. I didn't say you were old. Okay.
I'm 73 years old, and I own it.
And you don't look 73.
God bless you. I appreciate that.
How do you keep creative when you have such longevity in the same business?
Well, I mean, we basically just make shit up. So it's that's just make new shit up. That's what we do.
Oh,
We're a bunch of liars. I said that one time. I was in a restaurant and I was I was having breakfast with a friend of mine. We were talking about acting, and I said, "I'll bet. What? To be honest, I just basically lie for a living, And there was I turned around. I just heard a noise, kind of go, and I turned around. There was this guy sitting there with a Samuel French play, reading it. So it was obviously he wanted to be an actor. And he goes, "I can't believe you just said that." And I was like, "Well, I've been doing this a long time, and I guess I can say that." So, and you'll probably figure that out at some point further down the road for yourself. I mean, it's not. I was kind of making it as a joke, but he really was offended at it, because actors are tended to be offended about everything. I'll say it.
So you were lying while on a show where that tagline was "The truth is out there."
The truth is out there. I talked to Chris. Chris Carter and I are still. We still text and talk to each other all the time. I love him to death. And but I texted him recently and I said, "Okay, who were you talking to back when you were writing this show? Because everything that you wrote, or almost everything you wrote, is happening right now, including friggin' aliens." So I said, what? Who were you talking to? And he goes, "Oh, I'm not that smart." And I go, "Yeah, you were." I said, "Dude, you're an X-File." So but he claims he didn't, he didn't. I'm like, yeah, bullshit.
On X-Files, there's a lot of like jump scares and weird stuff. Were there ever any props that scared you?
Props that scared me. No, not really. But my wife worked on the show. My wife was Jillian's photo double on the show when we were in Vancouver, and then when we moved down to Los Angeles, she called Chris. Chris loved my wife, and she called Chris, and the woman who had played my assistant in Vancouver was Canadian, so she wasn't moving down to L.A. to with the show, and so Arlene called up Chris and said, "I want to be Mitch's new assistant on the show." And he was like, "Okay." And so she started playing my assistant. So I got to work with her a little bit. And where am I going with this? Where
Props or things, jump scares that got you?
I swear to God, I was going someplace with that story. I really was, and I got so caught up in talking about my wife that
Which is
I
cute.
lost it. Well, anyway, I swear to God, I can't remember where I was going with that story. But I don't think I was ever scared by anything. Oh, okay. No, I'm sorry. I'm a liar. We used to shoot out for a living. Yeah, right. Thank you. That was good. That was quick. We used to shoot out at this place. It had previously been an insane asylum, and it's outside of Vancouver. And we used to shoot out there, and it was abandoned, and it fit perfectly for the show. It was just it had that atmosphere and look, and it was like, yeah, okay, this is the place. But we used to shoot there like 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning sometimes, and it would get creepy. People would be seeing shit and and hearing stuff and screams. There weren't anybody up there. So it was creepy. It was really, really creepy working out there. So that place gave me the creeps.
And you said that.
And I don't know where that other story was going. It may come back to me before this is over. If it does, I'll get back and.
So backstage, you were telling me that your favorite episode is the most messed up. Which one is it?
Home. That first time I saw that, I was like, "Oh my Lord, what's he doing? Why?" And then I was watching. I was like, "Oh, this is so good. It's so sick. It's so sick." But it's like it just was like I thought it was brilliant. And yeah, so I tell people that, and I probably shouldn't.
What made that your favorite?
The Peacock brothers. I love the image of these deformed, mutated creatures who had been having sex with their mother to procreate, and keep the line running. But they had a convertible Cadillac, and I think the last shot of the show is these heads, these massive deformed heads from the rear, driving down this highway to Johnny Mathis. And it was I thought it just was like this is brilliant. This is crazy brilliant. But I don't know. I'm a sick individual, and that's probably what.
If you were shooting X-Files today, how would you play Skinner differently?
I wouldn't play him differently at all. He'd be the same guy. I've said this before, and I didn't realize it at the time when I first started doing the show. My dad had passed, and my dad was was big in my life. Both my parents did. I loved him to death. But he had passed, and then I started doing the X-Files, and the first episode that I did came out, and I was watching it with my mom and my brothers and sister. And after it ended, they looked at me and they go, "That was Dad. You're playing Dad." And I was like, I didn't do it consciously. I kind of just because I had grown up around my dad, and he worked on Department of Defense contracts, which eventually I eventually started working on DoD contracts in the Middle East for a long time. But before I started acting, but he was that guy. He had the white shirt, the tie, the glasses. I found myself watching myself after I would do an episode, and I would because he would move his hands certain ways, and do certain things with his hands, and I was doing it. It kind of just started happening, and I don't. It's just I don't know. I guess I was just unconsciously honoring my dad.
Love it.
Yeah.
I do want to note that we will be opening up to fan questions, so if you have a question for Mitch, you can line up over here by this black curtain. We'll be getting to those.
And y'all are being
momentarily.
very patient. Thank you.
Yeah, I like to yap. It's fine.
That's not what I was saying. Yeah, it was. No. I'm teasing you. I think you gave me your broken chair here.
No, I still have the broken one.
all right,
It's still
okay.
very broken under my
Okay.
foot. I broke it during my first panel today. It's fine.
You're doing well.
No
You're
one,
doing well
no one needs
maintaining
to
there.
worry about it. It's fine. We're in very sturdy chairs. We're safe. It's fine.
We were talking about, I hate these chairs. I will not sit on one of these chairs on set. They're just awful. I mean, these things are constantly breaking, so your feet are like constantly falling down. And it's like, besides that, does this look comfortable to you?
No.
Okay, you take your feet off, then you're doing this. Cuts off the circulation in your legs, you die. So I always get a small chair or a 3/4 so my feet can sit on the ground. But this is like a torture.
Well,
device.
you're handling the torture very well.
All right, thank you.
You've done
That's right.
some voice work in the DC universe with Commissioner Gordon. So talk a little bit about your take on Commissioner Gordon, and if you gave Jensen any advice before he went into the DC universe.
No, I didn't give him any advice. I refused to give him advice about anything. No, I'm teasing. No, I didn't. I just, that's a great job. Doing voice work on animation, it's so much fun. You stand in a room with a bunch of other voice actors that were you've heard them forever, and I'm not really a trained voice actor, so I was kind of just trying to figure it out as I went along, and I was watching them see what they do, and it was a lot of fun, and you don't got to worry about combing your hair or washing your face or taking a shower even or shaving or anything. You don't worry about makeup or wardrobe, or you stand in front of a mic and you just say the lines that they give you and try to create this character but I don't know, I think I kind of just had a sense of who Gordon was and tried to bring as much reality to it as I possibly could, which is what I do with every role. It's just I try to get a sense of who the character is and then just try to breathe reality and life into them.
If you were to voice a character in the Marvel universe, who would you want to voice?
I have to be honest with you. I grew up reading Marvel comic books and DC comic books, and I loved it. I had a great time, but I'm really not into the Marvel universe.
Ooh, hot take at a
Cinematic
Comic-Con.
universe. It's just, there's other stuff I'd rather watch, but so I don't know.
Okay. So we're going to
I
go
don't know,
to
Silver Surfer. Right? What is that? Is that Marvel?
Yeah, yeah. Fantastic
I
Four.
don't know.
Yeah.
Johnny Storm. See, I know all these characters, but yeah, they're
They are
bitter in
bringing
the comic
back
book.
the Fantastic Four.
What's that?
They're bringing back Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
Whole new cast. See if the third time works.
Yeah.
Where's the mic?
What's your name and what's your question?
Hi, my name is Carmen.
Hi, Carmen.
I love doing Walker, by the way.
Thank you, darling. I appreciate that.
My question is, what's a lesson you've learned from your career that you would like to share?
Lesson that I've learned from my career, don't be an asshole. Because there's a lot of assholes in the business that I'm in. And I've observed that. And I've learned lessons from that. Because I've been on sets where I've gone, oh my Lord, why is that person acting like that? And I take lesson from it, and I think I'm a pretty good person on set and working to work with. And I think I have a pretty good reputation in that respect. So I think you have to treat people right. I don't know. For some reason, people in this business think there's something special, and it just pisses me off. You guys are more special than anything that. No, I mean it. It's believe me, celebrity. I hate the word celebrity. People go, well, how do you like being a celebrity? And my response to that is any actor who calls himself a celebrity is an asshole, because they think they're. I'm going to stop.
But that's no fun.
I think you got the gist of it.
Okay.
But anyway, to be a good person, I impart that on young actors. It's like they come in and say, what would you tell me? What advice would you give me? And I'd say, don't be a jerk. Learn your lines, learn your blocking, and throw yourself into the role, but be a good person and be good to the people that you're working with, because it makes it better when you are. It really does. It makes it better when you got people who like each other, standing across from each other. The woman who played my wife on Walker, I loved her, and I think it showed. Yeah. And she loved me, and we got along so good. And believe me, politically, we were just completely opposites, and it didn't matter because we didn't care because we really cared about each other, and I think that's why, and it was like that with everybody on that show, and that's why it was the best set I've ever been on. So That's it's you just want to be act right. I mean, does that make sense? Did you want like some kind of an acting thing, some acting shit? All right. Anyway.
Thank you. What's your name and what's your question?
Hi, my name is Kelly, and
Kelly.
I was wondering throughout all the shows that you have done, what have you taken from set?
I had on the X-Files, Skinner had a brass bulldog on his desk, which I thought was so perfect. When the set deck people put that on my desk, I was like, that's all I did was just, okay, that's good. And that son of a bitch is sitting in my house right now. And it's funny because when I did when they brought Dallas back, the character that I played on that, Harris Ryland, he was a cad. He was a real something. But at one point in his bedroom, set deck put a brass bulldog in there, and I had never mentioned anything about that. And for some reason, I don't know, do I look like a brass bulldog or something? But it's just, I thought it was, wow, okay. I didn't take that one. I didn't want to start a menagerie.
Awesome. Thank you.
But yeah, that's the main thing I take. I mean, I've got a lot of. At the end of the X-Files, the wardrobe people said they brought out a whole rack of all of Skinner's suits, and they said, take what you want. They said, if you want the rack, take it all. So I got a lot of really good clothes. And when Walker ended, they called the whole cast into the wardrobe department, and they said, have at it. And I'm telling you, man, I got some great flannel shirts, and I got so many jeans, and a lot of my these are Bonham's boots. These are from the show,
Awesome.
and these jeans are from everything I'm wearing right now is from Walker.
So the show was good to you in many ways.
In many ways, many ways.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for your
Bet.
question.
What you got?
Hi.
Hi.
So, as you know, a lot of us look at supernatural cast and that you're our comfort people. So, who is your either comfort person or like author or musician? Do you have one?
Did you hear what I was just saying about actors and that such? People ask me who's your favorite actor. I don't have one. No, I'm kidding. God, my comfort person. You should have given me that question when you were at the table, so I could think on it. Because sometimes this 73-year-old mind just kind of like stops at a certain point. I don't know that I'd have to think on that a little bit. It's a really good question, and but I don't know if I can think of. I don't want to sound like I'm crawling up his butt, but Jared Pileggi. Jared Pileggi is one of the finest people I've ever met in my life.
He's a teddy bear.
And I love Jensen too. I don't want everybody to go back. I don't want these
So you're
Jensen
Team
Ackles
Sam.
folks on social media going, "Well, that son of a bitch hates Jensen," because I love Jensen. I love him to death. But he didn't give me a part in the series and make my life, what it is, what it is, and so I owe a lot to Jared, and I just love being around him, yeah.
He gives the best hugs.
What's that?
He gives the best hugs.
He's a good hugger, but I tell you, sometimes it's painful. Hugging Jared Padalecki is painful because his body is like a rock, and it hurts sometimes. And when he grabs you and hugs you, because he's strong, it's like how okay. But
Love hurts.
love hurts. It does.
He's popped my
But
back
yeah.
a couple times.
What's that?
He's popped my back a couple times now.
Yeah, right. Well, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And he is a hugger.
He is.
I mean, his photo ops is like he like it's like he goes into the hug like he's attacking somebody. It's funny to watch, and yeah.
Thank you so much.
You
Thank
bet,
you.
darling. Thank you so much for the question.
Hi, what's your name and what's your question?
My name is Rianne. The only role I know you from is Stephen Caldwell from Stargate Atlantis.
Thank you. Thank you.
What's one of your favorite memories from being on the cast of Stargate?
Jason Momoa throwing me up against the wall and almost breaking my back. I mean, that boy just beat the shit out of me one episode. I guess I had some kind of a Gould or something, and I was like, I don't know, taken over by some type of an alien entity, and he was trying to beat it out of me, I guess. But he's that dude is strong and he's big and I'm a big boy, and but yeah, he ragdolled me. I really enjoyed the battle sequences on the Daedalus. It was always fun with you because you got the pyro and the smoke and, yelling out orders and people running around and, being hit by, whatever we were being hit by. And it just was exciting and fun, and I got to get my Captain Kirk on, and it was pretty cool. I really had a good time working on Stargate, and I got to see a bunch of those folks over. We did a con in England, and I got to see Tori Higginson, and I got to see pretty much all of them, and it was good seeing them. Tori Higginson she's a sweetheart, and I really enjoyed. I'm glad I got to run into her again. But yeah, it was a lot of good people.
Thank you.
You bet. Thank you.
I must say, there's a lot of people that would not mind dying by Jason Momoa throwing them. Am I wrong?
I don't know, man. It wasn't fun. I'm sure there are.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure there are.
Hi, what's your name and what's your question?
Hi, my name is Michelle.
Hi, Michelle.
I know you best from X-Files, and I am a huge X-Files fan. I love the mythology and the story arc of X-Files, but I think my favorite part about X-Files was just the brilliant writing and some of the standalone episodes that were kind of comedic thrillers. And I want to imagine just listening and sitting here listening to you, I can already tell you're amazing. And I want to imagine that was an amazing time. But what are some of your memories from that time?
It was really my first big break in television, and so it was. And at first, I came on to do just like a guest star role, and because they were looking for somebody to fill that position of assistant director, to be their boss, and I'll tell you something. I almost didn't get the role because I had auditioned for Chris twice before for the X-Files, and I didn't get cast, and I got pissed off. And so when they called me in for Skinner, I told my agent, no. I said, he's seen me. I don't know what I was thinking about. It was like what an idiot. But my agent finally talked me into going in, and so I walked into that room with attitude. I was talking about surly. I was surly, and I was like, I think he put his hand out to shake it. I think I just walked by him and said, okay, let's do this. And we did it. And I said, after we finished, I said, okay, anything different? He said, no, that was great. I said, are you sure? And he goes, no, that was fine. I said, because I can't be directed. So if you got anything else you want to see with it, let's do it now. Then he goes, no, that was fine. And that's exactly what he wanted for Skinner. He wanted that attitude. And that was it. That's what I got. And boy, am I sure glad I didn't get those other two roles, because I never would. Skinner would not have been available to me. But
I
as
loved
far
the
as
chemistry.
what's that?
I loved the chemistry of you and Jillian and David.
I loved working with them, and it really clicked. And I'll tell you what, David and Jillian's chemistry on the show was just silly. It was so. I mean, you could see it if you saw them at this awards show the other night. They were. it's still there.
Yep.
It's still there, and boy, they look great, don't they? She looks great. She always did. And in addition, I met my wife on the X-Files. So she was, I think I started out with my wife on, this is what happens. But we were shooting a scene, David, Jillian, and myself, we were shooting in the scene in this cafe. And Chris had asked Arlene to play a waitress in this scene. I don't know why, but he just said, "You want to play a waitress in this scene?" And she did. She ended up playing a waitress. So I get to the set, and I'd never seen her before. I never met her. I had no idea who she was. I got to set, and I see this little redhead, because she had her hair cut and colored exactly like Jill's. And I see this little redhead in a waitress outfit. And I was standing next to David, and I was like just thunderstruck. And I said, "Oh my Lord, who is that?" And he goes, "That's Arlene." I go, "Who is Arlene?" And he goes, "She's been here for 3 seasons. She was on the pilot." She was on the friggin' pilot. And I was like, she worked on the show, had worked on the show longer than I had. And I go, "Who?" And so anyway, I say that I said. He said I never said it, but if I didn't say it, it was in my head. I was like, "I'm going to marry her." And I had no intention. I had no desire to even, I had never thought, because I'd been married before, and I was like, nah, it ain't for me. But I saw her, and I was like, "I'm going to marry her." And he said I didn't say it, but we got married 8 months later. So there you go. That's how that shit works.
And the internet says that David
Skinner
was
don't
your
fuck
best
around.
man.
What's that?
The internet says that David was your best man.
He was the best man at my wedding. We were on Christmas hiatus, and we all decided to go to Maui for Christmas break. And on the flight over, I said, "Dude, so they were all coming to the wedding. We did it at one of the hotels there, and it wasn't big. It was like this group of people that Chris was there, and some other folks were there, and Chris and his wife, and Lance Hendrickson and his wife were there, and some other folks, but." So I said to David on the flight over, I said, "Dude, you want to be my best man?" And he goes, "Yeah." So that's how that happened.
I love that you've had the opportunity to have family with so many different sets.
I am so, believe me, I'm so blessed for that, because I really do, and I've had that. And I mean, the people that I worked with on Dallas, we still have Mike Robbins, who was one of our executive producers. We still have a text chain. All the actors are still on it. Every holiday we say Happy Thanksgiving, Happy 4th of July, Happy Merry Christmas, whatever, So we're still in contact with each other, and it's very cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What's your name and what's your question?
What do you want? This woman haunts me. She just haunts me. I swear to God, she does.
I'm sorry to haunt you.
All right. Okay.
Anyway, my name is Dita. I'm the founder of Mitch's Pileggi, which is a fan club for Mitch, because we pledge our allegiance to Mitch Pileggi.
There's two of them.
We're on X, so follow us at Mitch's Pileggi. Anyway, just going back to your first question, I just want to say that
I can't remember back that far, Didi. You know that. Come on.
The advice.
This is abusive.
The advice that you say, don't be an asshole. I just
Yeah.
want to say that Mitch is seriously one of the nicest person you've ever met. So go come see him in his table, because he's great.
I'm paying her to say
Yes,
that.
he totally paid me to see that. No. No, well, it seems like I'm going to be the last question of the panel. So would you close the panel with a bang and sing us some Jailhouse
No,
Rock?
I'm not going to sing.
Come
No, I'm not
on,
singing. If I don't have a
Mitch.
guitar, I can't sing. I can't sing. No, that's
All right.
that's mean.
I tried.
Okay,
I tried.
I know you did try.
We appreciate the
You
effort.
tried and you failed.
Thanks for your question.
Sorry, Dita. Happy birthday to you. Oh well.
Does
That's
it
all
matter?
you get.
Like, savor this moment. How many
See
people
that?
get to
I
say?
start singing to him. It's not my birthday.
How many people get to say that they've had Mitch sing their birthday for their birthday?
It is. It is.
Oh, birthday sneak up on you.
Yep.
What's your favorite genre to play in?
Favorite genre? Well, I mean, sci-fi is when I'm sci-fi and horror is kind of what I'm. My career's been based in for the most part, but I love comedy. I just don't think there's a whole lot of good comedy writing out there. And I think comedy, it's got to have good writing. I mean, it's like there's some actors that can create characters that are very funny, even with bad writing. But I'm not one of those people. So I need good. And I've done a lot of stage work, and I've done a lot of comedy on stage. So I know I can elicit a laugh on occasion. I know I can do it. And I'll tell you, as an actor, live on stage, when you get the first time that I was on stage and I got a laugh, it was like a drug. It was like, oh my God, this feels good. It really is. It's a very special thing, you know. And so to be able to make people laugh. I've always tried. I can remember when I was a little boy. I remember one time I hit this kid or something like that, and he started crying. And I was like, I felt so bad. And I was like, so I started mugging and making faces to try to get him to stop crying and to laugh. And I was able to do it, you know. And he started laughing, and then everything was okay. But I've got my sense of humor is pretty weird, but. But I think that's always. I would love to do a good comedy that I feel like I can make people laugh. It's not my strong point.
I mean, you were great as Red's brother on that '70s show.
Oh God, that was Arlene playing my wife on that. That was my real wife playing my wife on that '70s show, and that came about. We got 8 seconds. I'll just tell you real quick. That came about because we were fans of my wife and I watched '70s shows. We liked it. We went to a Fox party, ran into the producers of that '70s show. I said, I love your show. He goes, well, come and do it. I said, I'm not funny. And he goes, well, it doesn't matter. It was like, you know, we'll make you funny. I'm going, I doubt that. So anyway, he said, well, just come and see them shoot an episode. So we did. And you're sitting in the audience, those things, and you're watching. It's almost like a play. And Topher Grace came up, and he would warm up the audience before they do the show to just get them kind of everybody ready to go. So he came. He didn't know I was there, but I didn't even know he knew who I was. But he came up, and he's standing there, and he's got the microphone. He's telling his jokes and warming people up. And he glances down and he sees me and he just stopped dead. He was a huge X-Files fan. Stopped dead. And it was like right in the middle of doing the X-Files. And he just goes, oh, I won't tell anybody you're here. And he said it right into the microphone. I said, I think you just did. But we got to watch the show, and then Topher came up later on, and he goes, dude, why don't you come and do it? And I go, so anyway, we ended up doing it. I thought my wife got more laughs than I did. So, and she's really, I mean, I've been doing this a lot longer than she has, and it's not right.
We'll give it up for Mitch.
Thank you so much. It's been great talking to y'all.
He'll be down at the table, so come see him, get your photos with him, get things signed.
Have a great weekend, okay? Hope you enjoy yourselves.
Thanks,
Take care.
everybody.